2025. I was this old when I learned that there's someone called a divorce coach. That's when I met Nyambura. So she's our guest for today, and I will let her introduce herself. But first, I would like to hear something interesting that has happened to you in the past, say 2 weeks. You can pick 2 weeks. 1 week could be a little bit short, boring, usual.
Okay.
Mm.
Something interesting that has happened in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Well, a bit of background.
Yeah.
Since we're on the issue divorce, when I was divorced, one of the worst things that happened was my car was auctioned without my knowing. So
but not okay. Mm-hmm.
So in the past 2 weeks, the most amazing thing that has happened is I've been able, for the first time in 14 years, to get a car close to what I had, afford to buy almost the same car I had in the last 14 years. So it's been, I'm still on cloud number 9.
That is so nice. That is such a good feeling.
Yes, it is.
Wow, yeah, that is such a good feeling. Thank you for sharing that. What has happened to me in the past 2 weeks? I've had a lot of downers, but the one thing, I've always desired to come to work on a boda. I just love bodas. Okay, let's call them motorbikes, but you know what I mean, boda. So today I've come with a boda from home to this place. Okay, it's like, an emergency turned into that dream, that bucket list. I'm so happy. I'm just so happy. It just made me so nice. That same good feeling. But can't compare to your Cloud 9. That is so interesting.
That is also interesting.
Yeah.
I'm not that brave, but anyway.
Yeah. So guys, welcome to another exciting episode of the Be Different KU podcast, and thank you Nyambura for coming. Please introduce yourself.
So my name is Nyambura, Catherine Nyambura. I am a divorce recovery coach. That is my passion, my purpose. By training, I am an interior designer and landscape artist. So I'm a mother of 2 adults and a grandmother of 1. So that is me in a nutshell.
This, ladies and gentlemen, is how grandmothers of our day look like. Oh my goodness. Looks so nice for a grandmother. And so I met Nyambura this year. And when I heard that she's a divorce recovery coach, and I was curious. And it just so happened that we remained behind, and I asked you, what does that even mean? I was so curious because I'd never either heard or I'd never met anyone who goes by that, either by practice or by title. So please tell us what you do as a divorce recovery coach. Yeah.
Okay. So when I went through my divorce, I went through counseling. I joined groups to try and help me recover. But there's a point it reached, everyone was talking about the past, as no one was talking about the future. So out of curiosity, I decided to do coaching. So one of the things about, you can be a life coach, you can be a sports coach, you can be a coach for anything. So through my coaching is when I understood, because of all my background and all my experience and what I was looking for, that I could step in and be a divorce recovery coach. So counseling and psychology and all those things help you heal from the divorce. Mm-hmm. But a divorce recovery coach now tells you, what next? How do I move forward from here? And basically is, how do I draw a map into the future? Like, how do I get to the point where I'm back on my feet? Can I continue with my career? How do my finances look after the divorce? Because we just actually say divorce is death without a coffin. It like breaks everything. So for me, what I do is I come and help you first, understand where you're coming from. And number 2, find a way to get not to where you were before the divorce, but where you want to go as an individual now that you are actually in a space where you can redesign and redefine your life. So that is exactly what a divorce recovery coach does. Yes.
Did you choose the path because of what you went through, or did you choose the path because is it something that people go to school for, or is it something that people practice as in?
I chose the path initially because of what I had been through. But actually, with time, I have discovered when you get into the coaching, because now you have to be a certified coach.
Okay.
So once you're a certified coach, you have the liberty to actually decide what do you want to coach, because it's wide. You see, so a life coach is basically vision boards and, but it's the same. But now the person you're dealing with is completely different, because a divorce recovery coach only works with people who have been through divorce. So when you talk about finances, like in coaching for a normal person, it's very different, or for a business person, it's very different than from somebody who has gone through divorce, because there are different elements of divorce. Sometimes there's co-parenting, where we as parents share the bills, and sometimes you're on your own. So from 2 incomes, now you're on 1 income. So when people are talking about savings and all those other things, you're wondering how it does not apply to you, because your responsibilities now are more.
Yeah.
Yes. So I found I was pursuing it to heal myself, but then I also discovered, just like you, there are not many people who actually know that after you've gone your counseling, and if you need somebody to help you navigate the rest.
Yeah.
Yes.
So kindly share the landscape, how it looks like right now in Kenya or in Nairobi, or where you practice. How many are you, and is there a market for it? Is there like, it's like asking kuna wateja?
Well, it's pretty new, yeah, but we are, on the top of my head, I know about 6.
Okay.
And actually, there are people who specialize in different areas of the divorce recovery. There are those who specialize in children. So maybe you have been a teacher, or last week I met a play therapist.
Oh, yeah.
So them, they specialize with the children. So what they are doing is they are teaching the parents how to help their children navigate through the process. How do I become a better parent? What programs are good for my child, so that there is normalcy in life. So it's marketable because it's new. I mean, people, just like you, people don't know that they are divorce recovery coaches. And then the other thing is that people look for, like one of the ladies I know, she actually now talks just about, for her focus is how to navigate it with a partner. We are divorced, we have recovered. How do me and my partner,
A new partner?
No, your old partner, because
Okay.
maybe you have children. So how do I navigate this life, like co-parenting? How do we successfully co-parent our children, and how do we successfully live our individual lives? In terms of, if I say I want remarriage, you'll not interfere. If I say I need you to have the kids because I'm going on a date, you will not interfere. Because people assume it's automatic, but it is not. So I think what has happened is, people, when it comes to divorce, because it's wide, people have decided to specialize on individual things. So mine is general. It's like a medical general practitioner. You're a GP.
Yeah.
Then now you have people who have decided to specialize on children, others on now co-parenting.
Yeah.
So that's how it is so far. Yeah.
And how are you finding, like, people are there, they're looking for you guys?
People want to understand first.
Exactly.
Yes, because you can't, just like in any
can't
other
buy
sector, you
anything.
can't buy something you don't understand what it is for. So what people are looking for is understanding, like, what exactly do you do? Are you a counseling psychologist? So for me, I tell people I actually am I'm trained in counseling and psychology. So it helps me in the coaching. Because then I'm able to separate and say what you need before a divorce recovery coach is a counselor, or you need to see a psychologist, or a different before now, because there's a process. Once you go through the divorce, there's a process. You just don't rush into a divorce recovery coach, because you haven't dealt with the emotions, you haven't dealt with the mental, you haven't done that part of the healing. When that part of the healing is, now I'm okay, I feel I'm ready to move on. But I'm moving on to what? And then there are others who move on very fast, and you haven't healed. So we find ourselves, we call them 2 or 3 star generals. You leave the marriage, you don't take any time to deal with anything, you just run straight and marry again. Then 2 years down, you're divorced again. So you're back. So twice or thrice. So the more times you come back, it's usually you are 1 star, a 2 jar, it's 2, even 4 star generals. You've tried it 4 times. So that's where now we come in, because we are telling you, there's a space that you're skipping. There's something that you're missing out. Because also a divorce recovery coach helps you understand yourself.
Okay.
My identity. You see, I was Mrs. For example, I was Mrs. Njoroge.
Yeah.
Now I'm back to Miss Rohio. But I'm not Miss Rohio because now I'm a mother, I'm a I've changed. So I can't try and be who I was. I have to learn who I am now in this situation and realize that my dreams, my goals have changed, or there are some that I left behind and I want to carry forward. There are some I had within my marriage, I still want to carry them. So how do I put all these elements together so that it works for me? Yes, that's what a divorce recovery coach does.
Wow.
Yes.
So many things are coming to mind. Number one, that the very little knowledge that I had, let me use myself as an example, the very little knowledge that I had about divorce in terms of those things you're mentioning, the complications, the processes. You thought, number one, divorce was a taboo. Then, now that it became okay, sawa, divorce, yes, but then you just thought it was, up and leave. It's done. But then you realize, I learned through a show. There's actually a show called, is it called Divorce? It's on Showmax. Okay. And I was watching it. So this couple had already now parted their ways. And it's just trying to show the processes after that. Yes. Like, first they fought. No one person didn't want to let the other person go. Then finally he accepted. And then this woman is finding herself almost always with this guy because, and the decisions about the kids. And I realized by the way, it's like another life is starting afresh. A whole different life. Even as I think about it, I realized but I had not understood the whole concept of divorce. Yeah. And you find that you always have to take someone through such.
Actually, that's why we have 3 and 4 star genders. Because moving out of your house is not divorce.
No.
Okay? It could be separation.
Yeah.
But even people know legally, you apply for a separation, so that when you go to the court, you say, we have been legally separated. You see, so what happens is a lot of people move out, then move in with somebody else, then they're trying to sort out the logistics when you're already in. So it can't work because you have so much unfinished business. Yeah. So I actually tell people, you can't understand marriage properly before you understand divorce. Because if you understand divorce, then you will go consciously into marriage and you will know why you're in that marriage.
That's very interesting.
So we find the other interesting thing is not only divorced people need a divorce recovery coach, even married people.
Wow.
Because when you have people who are having issues and they think, we can't sort them, and then you actually now take them through this is the process of divorce and this is what it entails, then it is easier for them to resolve their issues than to walk out.
So we'll have to think
about that. Yeah, some you can't take back.
Yeah.
But if 2 people are actually telling you, I feel like I want to walk out, tell me what divorce entails. Yeah, so that they are parting ways in a very conscious and intentional manner, so that it's amicable. So there is no drama. Then that's when now you actually tell them this is the process and this is what is happening. So a divorce recovery coach is not just there to help you progress. They are able to help you. This is what has happened. Okay? So we have a program, the No Lose Ends, before now you actually get into divorce recovery, which now tells you this is what you need to do to stand on your feet, and then now we move on.
Wow.
So you just don't jump out. We say you're running with a broken leg. You just don't jump out of a marriage and it doesn't work. That you will have to deal with those issues as you go along. Yeah. Which is quite difficult because it's a lot.
It is a lot. So tell me, Nyambura, is there any element of what you went through, if you don't mind sharing what you went through during the divorce, are there elements from that experience that help you in this practice today?
A lot, because I think if I hadn't had my experience, mine was not amicable.
Okay.
Mine was not smooth. No, it was very acrimonious. So
Did you wake up and leave?
yes, I left. I'm the one who left. So what happens is I'm able to relate. It has helped me a lot. It helps me, and I'm able to identify people who it's redeemable. You know, you'll have somebody come for a session and you're like, what are you doing here? Because of the things you're talking about, actually you have no issues. What you need is couples therapy or family therapy, and then you will be fine. So I think it helps me a lot to do what I'm doing. Yeah.
I hear you, and I'm thinking, because that's the other thing. When you say you're a divorce recovery coach, it's actually like, are you a pro, you know, like, are you a pro divorce? You know, it's like it almost sounds like, for someone who doesn't understand, it's like you're championing for divorces to happen. But now that you've actually said that, like, you hear couples and you're like, what are you doing here? Go back and work on
I'm
your...
actually very pro-marriage. I love marriage. I think it's a beautiful institution. I think the problem is many of us get into it for the wrong reasons without understanding. And then we don't understand even what type of marriage I'm going into. Am I going into a polygamous? Yes, there are types of marriages. Yeah, because like a traditional marriage is a polygamous marriage. You can't move in with somebody and then he moves in with another person and he's handling the two of you and you're complaining. Yours is a traditional, so it's polygamy. If you're in a Christian marriage, you went to church, and then that one, it's not supposed to be. So you're reacting. Sometimes people are reacting in a situation which you're not supposed to be reacting. So I think the biggest challenge is, I'm very pro-marriage. I love marriage. Okay. I think marriage is a beautiful thing. Okay. But the other thing is, I think people need to understand more. Different type of marriages. What is a marriage? Is it all about lovey-dovey and responsibility? How you choose a partner? You know, so those are the things, even when I'm called maybe by people who are in marriage or for couples counseling, that is what now I address. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the process that led you there. How it was. How was that divorce?
Wow. Okay. I have been divorced now for 15 years. So mine was desertion, whereby desertion means the other party abandons in terms of responsibility. So you find yourself, you're buying food, you're paying rent, you're doing school fees. Basically, you're single married. So I found myself in that situation. But it was very convenient for the other person, because for him, he could run 2-3 families the same way. Yeah. So for me, when I discovered we are many, I decided to eliminate myself. Exactly. Yeah. But now, because I had come fast into the relationship, into the relationships, because we were many, there was the issue of family. You know, the family saying you can't leave, you're the legal wife, you're a representation. That was a big challenge for me. Then there was an issue of property. So we had the option of, ours was a AG kind of marriage. Okay. So thank God, or it was in a time when, before 2006, if you had not legalized your marriage but presented what do you call it, an affidavit or whatever, the government saw like you are married. Okay. But in 2006, they said, if you do not have a certificate, you have 2 options: to know you're not married or to legalize. Yeah. So mine happened, 2016. Mine happened, my separation happened before. Okay. So it was not legal. So we were able to kind of sort out the property matters without going to court. Which was it was whoever grabs what first. So if it is cars, whoever sells the first one fastest. Yeah. If it is property, who gets that one first. So how do you it was very ghetto every morning and do that? It was very exhausting. Yeah. So also children, it was whoever has the children stays with the children. Then for a while it was, okay, I'll help where I can. Okay. And then eventually, because I had the kids, and a lot of women go through this, they just don't say. Yeah. When you say send rent, he says, I don't live there. So why am I paying rent and I don't live there?
Exactly.
So suddenly you're in a house you can't afford.
Yeah.
Your children are in schools you can't afford.
True.
So most people, that's why they actually go to court. So we did some gymnastics for a few years. Then for me, I made the decision, instead of focusing on this whole separation thing, I was better off focusing on myself and the children.
Yeah.
So I just picked what I did and left everything. Yeah, then the gymnastics for him was, let me sell everything so she has nothing to claim. So we were both left with nothing, which was not a smart thing to do on his side.
What?
But
I know right now we are laughing about it, but I'm just thinking.
yeah, the emotional, the
Yeah.
mental turmoil, not just on me, but also the children. Remember, like for me, I had kids who I used to pick up, drop off, driver. You have a certain lifestyle. You have high-end schools and everything, and then suddenly,
All that is
basics. From you have your own room to we are all sharing a room. So it of course affects you, but it also really affects the children.
Yeah.
So it wasn't an easy, the acrimony, especially when it comes to taking care of the children, for me, it's still unresolved. Yeah. So those were the challenges I went through. Yeah.
So when do you get on this straight and narrow path? Because that one sounds like you guys were.
Yeah, we were all over the place.
Yeah.
One thing about divorce, one person has to be the adult.
The bigger person.
Yes.
They call it the bigger
Yes,
person.
one
Oh
person.
my God.
You are blessed if both of you are the bigger people, because it works.
It's interesting because it's not it's not a unique.
Yeah, no, it's not. No,
my
there's
God.
always the offended party who feel this should not be happening, so they fight it. So one person has to choose to be the bigger person. So for me, I think I just decided it's enough. Whatever you want, you can have. If you don't want to take care of the children, I'll do that. So that now it ended. But there's still always that bitter taste. For him, on his side, it was completely cutting off even the children. He doesn't talk to the children. He doesn't associate. He wants nothing to do with. Yes. And now started a completely new life, which is okay, but it affects the children. Yeah. So it's on the straight and narrow, but I keep telling people, the funny thing about divorce is when people are separating, they imagine we are done. But when you have children, you have graduation, you have weddings, you have the other day I realized we have grandchildren. Christmas is the first that hits you.
Yeah.
Holidays.
Yeah.
Holidays are the first ones that hit you.
Yeah.
Then you have big events like graduation. You have big events like weddings. There are people who will not show up to their child's wedding because their new partner is not being recognized. Then there's grandchildren naming. We are Africans. So that
now your culture, the culture that you follow.
yes,
The kids are named after you.
like my grandson is supposed to be named after their father. They refused. They said we are never naming him. So you see, then you can also try and convince them to do. They're adults. Yeah. So it affects. It's not just a one time. It is for a lifetime. Okay. If one party, like if you don't go through the legal process, then one party, God forbid, dies. Then automatically you as the legal wife, you're back again. So that's why it's important to understand.
I can imagine that call. Who?
Yes.
What? Your Mrs.
Yes. Yeah. So you actually, people think it's just I've packed my bags and left. It's not that simple. Yeah. Even parents struggle. You have families who, because maybe they know their daughter, they refuse with this guy and decide this is our son-in-law. So they want him in all the functions. They want him in all the decisions. And then when they're asked what they say, he's the father of our grandchildren.
Okay.
You see. So it's for a lifetime. So for me, I tell people, mkiachana, if you part ways, just try and make it as amicable as possible, especially if they're children. Because this thing is not ending. Yeah, as long as the children are growing, there are all these stages that both of you need to navigate. And if both of you are not willing, one person always has to carry the burden and be the adult. Yeah.
I'm waiting to hear of how you got back now. How did you take up any program?
How I got back is, of course, a friend encouraged me to go for counseling, because at some point you're going through your depression. And then I also joined a church program, which really helped. Then actually that is what began my journey. Because through the church program, I volunteered in the church. While I was doing the church program, I realized there are different pillars. There's the spiritual. So the spiritual only was not helping as much as I'm deeply spiritual. So now I've pursued the counseling psychology. Then I realized it's not all about mental health. Then now is when I discovered we were actually commissioned by the church, my church, to go out and try and run individual programs outside, like reach as many people. So it was like an outreach program. But then you're outreaching to what? That's when now I got into coaching. Then now I realized, so I have gone through a couple of programs to get to where I have been, and also volunteered in different, like, I have housed women who have nowhere to go through an organization I run called Sabah. But that one is specifically just to help women stand for like 6 months. Other women come together and put money. We help you put yourself together.
It's
then
interesting.
Now
you should say it louder. Sabah.
Release.
Sabah. You've called it?
Sabah. It means reaching out to feel God's embrace. It's a Hebrew word. So I've done a lot of programs to help me get now to where I am. Yeah, until it becomes like the core. When I tell people I'm an interior designer and a landscaper, they're like, oh, it's like now that is
We don't remember
exactly
that.
because of this other one. But helping others also healed. So through helping others also, it helped me heal, because every day you learn something. When you meet new people, you hear of new situations. Then it helps you even learn how to navigate your own. So I've gone through quite a lot of programs, and now also running my program has helped. Yes.
You sound like you have now. Does it mean that, this is my assumption from what I've heard, you work with all these people? You have a network of, if it's a play therapist for kids, if it's a counseling psychologist, if it's a...
So with coaching, we are able to touch every individual part of every bit of your life. But remember, I'm not a lawyer. So I can just tell you need legal guidance. We actually run clinics on that. Like last week we had one. So where I will tell you, this is a lawyer, ask him all the questions you need to. Then you'll say, I'm having issues and discipline with my children. It's actually not discipline issues. You forgot your child. So I'll introduce you either to a child therapist or a play therapist, depending on the age of the child. Then I'm not sleeping, I'm going through a depression, then now you can. So there's a network of people we work with who you're able now to, these are the people you need to. So that now when we are talking about what is your vision for 2025, what do you want to achieve? At least we are not dealing with I can't sleep. When you say I want to go back to school, you are not saying I want to go back to school but I'm on medication because I can't sleep. So at least there's that network and team of support that come and help you to get to the place you need to go now to get into now the recovery, the divorce recovery phase. Yes.
Wow. I'm seeing it. So do you guys like have a physical location, or do you just like people call you, people look, how do people reach you? How do people know you exist?
Right now I'm working with an organization called Clear Point. Yes, they have a physical office in Nakuru. Sabah is based in Kiserian. We actually have a farmhouse. That's where we host the women. But in case anybody wants more information, it's just to get in touch with me and then direct you to where you want to go. Yes, or what you need for that. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So are there people who would, because I'm thinking when you were going through this gate of phase and when you had your, let's just call it, and when you had those relationships that got severed in the process,
Yes.
are there people who have issues trusting you right now?
In terms of
Like, oh, so Nyambura nowadays is calling herself the divorce coach, and yet she did this. You know, the way that ghetto face. You've
Yes.
done things maybe you are not proud of,
Yes.
or people who relate or took sides. They went to his side and you remain on this side. In terms of branding, are there people who, of course, point fingers or have issues with you, or wouldn't come to you for that specific solution?
Definitely, because the reality is, I like the way you started the conversation. You said now divorce is acceptable. Actually, there's a lot of stigma behind divorce.
Yes.
That is a fact. So one of the things is that you have to overcome the stigma. Once you overcome the stigma, then you have to overcome self-stigmatization. If you don't want to come to me, then you're not my target audience.
Yeah.
I'm not there for you.
Yeah.
So they're there, but it doesn't bother me as it would bother me before, because I mean, there are so many people in this world that I could help this, because relationships die, the judgment comes in.
Yeah.
During the ghetto phase, you are gangster for real. So there are those who you meet.
Yeah.
And that's why it's important to actually have somebody who's divorced take you through this. Because one of the things we try and kill is the stigma.
Yeah.
If you have never been through divorce, you will not understand there are things you have to do to survive. Okay, that's what I tell people. But once you're out of survival mode, then now trying to readjust, society may not be very kind. That's where the stigma comes in.
Yeah.
So, yeah, of course, you have people who will not come to me for help. But for me, I tell them, you're not my target. Yeah, there are other people who will be honest enough to say, when I was going through this, these are the things I have done. And actually, the recovery process is for you to recover from that gangster, from that ghetto phase.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people tend to stay in it. It's survival mode. But what are you surviving? It's living. You're supposed to get out of. The war is over. Now it is just, now you need to get back to yourself. Yeah, that's what now the recovery actually is. People who are able to come and have honest conversation and say, I'll give you an example of the ghetto phase. I take a loan in the bank, and he talks to the manager, and he gets the money and I don't. So how do I pay a loan that I didn't get the money? So I get his car, take it to the manager, they sell it, they pay the loan. So when people hear such stories, they are like, I'm like, I had to survive. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
So actually, for you to overcome, to get to now the straight and narrow, you have to be very raw and honest about, this is what happened in my marriage.
Yeah.
This is what happened after I left.
Yes.
But I need to do better. You know, I need to find myself and stop being in this fighting and flight mode all the time, and just have a normal life like everybody else. Yeah.
Does the pain eventually, because you've said it's like a lifetime thing, does it eventually end, or does it always, you know, those graduation na imagine ni kidonda ina,
Yes.
it's graduation, something is like a layer is pulled off a
Yes.
kidonda,
Yes.
or does it eventually go down?
Yes, it does. And what happens is you learn to cope with your triggers. Yeah, you stop being, because most marriages are based on emotions.
Yeah.
So divorce is also very emotional. So you have to get to a point where you process your emotions and realize, these are my triggers. So now it is, how do I learn to manage myself? Those are some of the things. So that even if a trigger comes, how I reacted 2 years ago is not the same way. Even simple thing, you have agreed you will bring the children at 5. 3 years ago, you'd flip. 10 years later, I'm like, ni babake, he also has a right. They're with their father, they're not with a stranger. So you learn not to manage your emotions, just emotional intelligence about things. So the pain reduces because you work on yourself. The triggers are there and they are different. You see. So like today I could be okay. I don't know what would happen if maybe I walked out and saw my ex. I could be a completely different person.
Yeah.
But the thing is now you learn how self-regulation, just how to balance those emotions and
Does the process look different when you've been married more years than someone else?
I don't think it's
if someone was married like 1 year, 2 years, then they go through divorce, as opposed to someone who's married 10 years and go through divorce. Do you think the process looks different from your experience?
I don't think it's the years.
Okay.
I think it is the experience. I could have been married for 10 years with no abuse, and somebody would have been married for 9 years with physical, mental abuse. So it's the impact.
Yeah.
It's not the years. Yeah. That's why you'll find somebody who's married for 10 years, they're out, and in 2 years, they are married. One was married for a year, they're out, and 10 years later, they're still struggling to. So it's not really about the time. It's actually what was your experience in the marriage.
Yeah.
Because like if you are in a very abusive marriage, then of course healing will take time. Yes. So it is the experience within the marriage that determines the healing. Yeah.
Well, so I think I've already asked you how people are to reach you. So are you like on social media? Have you branded yourself as?
Yes, I just call myself Nyambura, the divorce recovery coach. I'm on TikTok.
Okay.
I am not on Facebook because I work with organizations.
Oh.
So I have worked with, for the last 2 years, I worked with an organization called the Oasis Experience, and now I'm with ClearPoint. So for me, I find working with organizations is better because you're able to reach more people, and even people who cannot afford the services. You see, we assume everybody's...
By the way, it's not a...
It's not... First of all, divorce on its own is expensive.
Yeah.
Then the processes. So for me, I like working with organizations because with organizations, then I'm able to reach more and be more impactful. Yeah.
And there's also a level of protection for both parties.
Yes.
You think so? Because if you knew all my problems, I don't have money, I may not be able to afford your services.
Yes, that's true. And also, I think a lot of these programs, they work better when you work in collaborations with people, because it takes the team to help you heal.
Yeah.
So for I'm on TikTok, just Nyambura, the divorce recovery coach,
Okay.
but then I'm just working with other organizations. Yeah.
I really liked what you said. This is me trying to wind down. I really liked what you said about you should know details about divorce before you get married.
Yes.
That was very powerful, because every other day, sorry, you see, let me talk about women, because I read more. I think women post more, and you see they're the ones who are asking questions. It's like this and like this, and I'm feeling like this. Am I crazy? Am I mad? Should I walk out? Such questions. You read more about women who are in marriage, and they're questioning. They're in that process of questioning, asking, is this normal? As in, or this has been going on this much. Am I crazy to hold on? And blah blah blah. And I feel like that is very interesting. Same thing I thought about. I always say when we are talking about parenting and kids, we should be told about parenting. In fact, when you want to talk about sex education, we should tell people about parenting. And how crazy it is, so that when you're going to have sex, just know that this is one of the parts and one of the options. Something that similarity came to mind. So what is your parting shot, Nyambura, or anything that I've forgotten to say you can add on here?
I think for me, what I always say is you can heal from divorce. Yeah, it's actually up to you. Then the other thing is don't stigmatize yourself. I think self-stigmatization is the biggest, because it impacts even on your behavior and your character. Because most people say, I don't care, I'm divorced, and you don't do that to yourself. So for me, what I tell people is this healing. Don't dismiss yourself just because one individual has dismissed you. So there's actually healing. The pain ends, you can have a normal life, you can be productive, and actually you can live the life you always wanted to live. Yeah.
That's powerful. And thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for
Guys,
having me.
I hope you have learned a thing or two about divorce and divorce recovery coach Nyambura, and what you said you're 6, and what people like her do. I know there are very few in Kenya, so that's a good thing for you. That's a good thing for you. Or for the market. I'm looking at it from a point of business. So thank you so much, and I hope you've learned a thing or two. Please leave a comment and your thoughts about what we've said, about what you've learned. Thank you, and have a good one.